In today's On Point, we will discuss whether the revolution will devour its own children. Has a witch hunt begun in Bangladesh? And will it degenerate into a mindless litany of charges against the earlier government? Will revolution protect the people, the so-called, protect institutions, protect democracy, or recreate them in a different way? To begin with, a murder case has been filed against former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and 6 others in connection with the murder of a grocery shop owner, Abu Saeed, in police firing in Dhaka's Mohammadpur area on July 19. This is the first case filed against Hasina after she left Bangladesh. The petitioner, a resident of the area, describes himself as a well-wisher of the victim. The deceased, identified as Abu Saeed, was shot by police during a procession supporting the quota reform movement. Now the issue is this for real? The case comes at a time when the relationship between both Bangladesh and India has soured, if not overtly, but then yes, at least in the corridors of power. Another issue is, how will Bangladesh restore a normal modicum of governmental process? Will students go back to their universities? In this context, student leader Nahid Islam, who is also part of the interim government, said all the excesses meted out during Hasina's reign will be brought to justice, and said that it is up to the will of the people to allow Awami League to return to politics or not, because the question is, can the party of the previous government survive today's political current? Let's play out the bite of Nahid Islam.
The mass murders and looting that occurred during Sheikh Hasina's tenure, along with corruption, enforced disappearances, and the stripping of voting rights, are all serious issues involving Sheikh Hasina and her government. They will be brought to justice. Once they face proper trials, it will be up to the people of the country to decide whether the Awami League will be allowed to return to politics. This is an interim government, not a caretaker government that will only arrange for an election. Instead, we are going to work on various reforms of the state structures that we have been discussing. We want to create a blueprint for the country. The resignation and escape of Sheikh Hasina is a primary victory for us. Our movement will continue regardless. The second demand of our movement was to reform Bangladesh, and we will continue working towards that goal. Only once we achieve it can we celebrate and take a sigh of relief.
A BNP leader said that Sheikh Hasina left the country because of the fury of the people. Let's play out that bite.
Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, the former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, she resigned the country, abandoning her party and the people. She was supposed to be with the people always, but she left the country. And as far as our knowledge goes, she has landed in Delhi now. She had to leave under special circumstances. You know that there was a student and citizens uprising. It was a revolution, and before that, almost 1,000 students were killed by Sheikh Hasina's police, and almost 12,000 people were arrested. And for 1 month, consecutive 1 month, there was movement against her, and finally on the 5th of August, the people came out on the street, the students, the common people, the women, children, and everybody. It was millions of people who were on the street, and they were heading towards Ganabhavan, the official residence of the Prime Minister. And then she left the country with a helicopter. But that means she had fled away, left, and abandoning her people and party, and left due to the fury of the people. So the situation is this, that when she left the country, then the army requested the president, and all of us requested the president to form an interim government, as because she has resigned and fled away, and the president formed an interim government under the leadership of Professor Yunus, the renowned Nobel laureate who is from Bangladesh. This is the situation. Now, the entire country is behind this interim government, and everybody is giving support to the interim government. Interim government will definitely stabilize the situation and bring peace and order, as because there was no government for some time, for a few days, and the law and order situations will be better, and because their main task will be to hold an operation, free and fair operation, which will be neutral, and as soon as it's possible, they can create a neutral situation. Khalida Jia is sick, she is the chairman of the party, and she was a very popular leader. Till now, she is the most popular leader in Bangladesh, as because she is very sick. So she needs the treatment, and most probably, if the doctors allow, she will go abroad for treatment. If she comes back, then definitely she will be the face of the BNP in the next election. And if we cannot come back, or if she is not fit to contest the election, then our next man is the acting chairman, Mr. Tariq Rahman.
Now let me go across to Rushad Faridi, Assistant Professor, Department of Economics, University of Dhaka, and I'm also joined by Tawfiqul Islam Khan, Senior Research Fellow, Center for the Policy Dialogue, CPD. Both of them joined me from Dhaka. Thank you both of you for joining me on this story which is emanating from Bangladesh, which has caught the eyes of the world. And my first question to you, sir, is to Mr. Rushad Faridi. There is an old saying, revolution has a tendency of devouring its own children. Do you think that the interim government and now the leaders of the students will show enough discipline to bring normalcy on the streets of Dhaka and other cities? This question goes to Mr. Rushad Faridi.
Well, so far this interim government has been in place not for even a week. So it's too early to call that whether this revolution is devouring, whether it's gonna to do that. So we have to give this regime a little bit of time. And the signs are good, signs are very positive. We know that Professor Yunus is a well-known figure around the world. And there is a large acceptance of Dr. Yunus in the diverse population in Bangladesh. So, and the team he selected, there are good administrators and there are professionals which doesn't have any controversial background so far, nothing sort of which is very negative. So it's just been, as I said, not even a week. So we have to give this regime a little bit of time. And so far, there is nothing to worry from the new interim government. But I admit the situation it's like a newborn country. After the revolution, there are a lot of pains, a lot of instability. So there are also threats, internal, external threats. So we have to be very careful, treat the path very carefully. But I'm quite hopeful that Bangladesh will soon recover from this tragic event and prosper soon.
Okay. Mr. Tawfiqul Islam Khan, Am I audible to you?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for joining my show. So this question is also for you. There's an old saying which I say that a revolution can devour its children. So my question to you is that, do you think that bipartisan approach will prevail in Bangladesh? This question is in context of the case being filed against Sheikh Hasina, which is a murder case.
Well, I don't know. To be fair, in fact, if you look at Bangladesh, like India, there are more than two parties. What we have seen in the past, there are two dominating what we call alliances, and that has actually happened also in India. You have now two large alliances.
Mr. Islam, there is a difference between India and Bangladesh, that there is no such overthrow of the government that has taken place, sir. No overthrow of the government has taken place. There is a difference.
I understand. I am giving you the context that there are two alliances but multiple parties. Why I am saying you this, you will understand that there are different parties. Even when they build alliances, they may have their own different beliefs in certain political contexts. In future, there is also an opportunity for other smaller parties to go, and that can also happen. We have seen that around the world as well. Cases against outgoing government were pretty common in the past as well, in Bangladesh and elsewhere in India as well to some extent.
So why are you getting India into it? My question was not on India.
No, because
you can't. It's like saying that. And when was the last leader who fled India? I didn't want to make this into an India-Bangladesh debate.
No,
I just want this debate to be about Bangladesh. No leader from India has fled.
Sir, if you let me allow to speak.
Please. Because my question was not on India. It was on Bangladesh.
I understand. I'm giving Indian references because your viewers, I understand, are mostly from
our viewers our viewers want to know what's happening in Bangladesh.
Just give me context. If you don't like Indian context, I will not give you that. But this is also, I would say, not very common that the outgoing government chief will actually go away after their departure. So the thing is that so the cases, I think this is what is true, is that people have lost their lives during this process on both sides. I think a few police officers also died. Hundreds of people died who were protesting. Some of the innocent people also died during this process. So I think the proper investigation will be there. And that is what our state should also look into, to have a more just process in this investigation. And we believe that there will be an investigation, and it should be also very transparent and independent to whoever is in power. So that there is no question on the credibility and everything that has happened. So the transparency and the evidences should be put into place. This should be a public trial and should be open to the citizens and everyone.
Okay, you're saying it should be a public trial, it should be open to citizens and everyone. Just to put it in the perspective, the interim government also said that they will also review the 15th of August as a mourning day. Explain it to our viewers that why has this happened? Why is there a debate on this? Give us the larger perspective.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Interim government has made it clear that they may review the 15th of August as the mourning day.
Well, I don't know. I'm not part of the interim government. Why did this say? I think I'm not a proper person to comment on that. But I think what we can guess is that there are many factions within this government and the uprising. There is no one single party or one single force behind it, as we can see so far what we have observed. So there are different views coming up as well. They also shared their own mind. So I think that is one of the reasons. And there is a sense of anger against the government of Sheikh Hasina in this process over the last 1.5 decades. So all the decisions those were taken during this process, some of them are questioned by some quarters. But I think it is better if you ask these questions to someone from the interim government in this context.
Fair enough. Mr. Faridi, what is the biggest economic challenge for the government today? Because ultimately, it boils down to income, stability, and economic prosperity rests on peace and political processes.
Well, there are multiple economic challenges because the Sheikh Hasina's regime was quite autocratic, and it has cronies. Crony capitalism was all over the place, and it is actually, to put into the right perspective, it was a kleptocracy. In straight words, it was a kleptocracy. There were crores, billions of dollars have been money laundered into foreign countries, and we have heard stories how the ruling politicians, bureaucrats have made fortunes and laundered the money into the foreign lands. And there is a place in Canada which is called Begumpara, which was full of all those politicians and bureaucrats who have purchased land and houses right there. And it is not just in Canada, it was in London, and Dubai was also another hotbed of these laundered monies. So what happened is that as a result, most of the monies were siphoned off the banking sector, where a large amount of crores of takas has been taken as loan with false documents and very full of forgeries and all those. And it was actually bank robbery, modern day bank robbery without the guns. So as a result, banking sector, the financial sector is very in vulnerable state. And not only that, after the corona pandemic, when the economy started to recover, then the Ukraine-Russia war occurred, and as a result, global prices went up. And at the time, the dollar shortage started to creep up, foreign reserves started to dwindle. But to counter these global challenges, the right economic policy was not in place. The financial administrators, the finance ministry, people in charge of finance ministry, Bangladesh Bank, they made hash of very silly government financial policies, economic policies. International Economics 101 was not followed.
Okay.
So they made blunders one after another, and as a result, what is happening now is that while Sri Lanka and Pakistan, which were worse than Bangladesh in terms of inflationary situation, they are now doing much better, but Bangladesh inflation is still in the double digit because of this very faulty economic policies.
But do you think that, politically speaking, with Sheikh Hasina being tried, do you think that it will invite foreign investment in Bangladesh? Public trials of political leaders don't lead to solid economic responses from multinational firms.
I beg to disagree. I think if the previous regime has committed crime, if it brought to justice, it actually restores faith to the country's law and order situation. So it actually works other way around. It actually put confidence to the foreign investors, because foreign investors are always worried about the volatility of a country's situation where there is absence of rule of law. So if rule of law is imposed, and no matter whether it's prime minister or whether it's a beggar in the street, then it always restores confidence into the country's system. So that will actually help.
That's your point of view. I'm no one to question, but Mr. Faridi, do you think that she'll get a fair trial and not turn into a witch hunt?
Well, Actually, that can always happen, but you have to have some signs or some other clues which may lead you to that conclusion. I don't know why. Again, this regime is only 5 or 6 days old, so I think your assumption or the way you put it is kind of premature.
It's premature. But then there are a lot of apprehensions in the international community, sir. But leaving aside this question, on Tuesday, you stay with me, Muhammad Yunus visited the historic Dhakeshwari temple in Dhaka and addressed the Hindu community amid attacks on the Hindus in Bangladesh and called for collective solidarity in these challenging times. Mr. Taufiqul Islam Khan, do you think that this appearance, this gesture is enough to prevent attacks on minorities in areas outside Dhaka? Will this send a strong signal?
It sends a signal, but I will not say this is enough. Definitely, I think there is more truth than that. There are some attacks, but there are also some people from the Hindu religious belief who were also attacked, not because of their religious beliefs, because of their certain activities during the past regime, probably. So that is more truth than that. But as you said, definitely this government will need to show a strong support to the community. They have shown that, and there is. We have also seen there is a strong social approach in this to counter this situation and to send signals across the society that we are together. And obviously, you have to understand that the law and order situation was a bit fragile in the sense of that absence of some of a large part of police force as well. This is now largely restored over the last 2-3 days, and we are hopeful that this will also improve so that no fraction can take opportunity of any misdeed during this process. I think it is also a time for Bangladesh to show that we have obviously passed many past such threats in our past, and we have come out very strongly as a state that upholds the social and religious solidarity among us.
Okay, Mr. Faridi, the same question to you. Is this enough? Is this photo op enough, or more needs to be done to protect Hindus and minorities in Bangladesh, sir?
Well, I don't know what you mean by enough. I think as a statesman, he is doing the things that needs to be done, and this photo op is not actually the main issue, right? The main issue, right, that whether Dr. Yunus can have full command on the safety and security of his citizens, whether he can ensure that no matter how many photo ops he takes, at the end of the day, it matters whether the citizens across all religions can feel safe. At the same token, I would like to say that in Indian media in the last few days, there is a frenzy of hyperboles about the attacks on the minorities. But I have seldom.
I would like to say, sir, I would like to say that please do not generalize Indian media. There are parts of media. There are parts of media whose main coverage has been on the atrocity. There are parts of media who have been covering all other things in the world. And there are parts of media which have been covering stories other than Bangladesh also. So Indian media is very heterogeneous. There is no one Indian media. There is a lot of diversity. Okay, there is no grand design of the Indian media. There is no, that is why I am saying I don't want to, when I invite my guests from Dhaka, it's not about India. I always question them on what's happening in Bangladesh. So it does not It does not become a match India versus Bangladesh.
I got it, but I'm really surprised to see you very sensitive about whenever me or my guests are referring to India because you are an
I'm
Indian
not sensitive
channel.
about that, sir, because when he said,
can I
let me
finish,
clarify.
please?
Let me clarify.
Can I-
When Mr.
can I
Khan,
finish,
when
please?
Mr. Khan
Can I
gave an
finish, please?
example, no one from India has fled. I'm not saying that the Indian democracy did not have its problems. We had emergency for 2 years. Our political leaders got jailed. For 2 years, they were behind jail. And the
I
Indian
understand,
government
but,
has decided to celebrate that day. You know, they were behind bars 2 years. I'm saying this on record. 2 years, Indira Gandhi did it. There's nothing to hide. The world knows it. It's history. 2 years, emergency. But there is a difference, which is sociological, political, and narrative-wise. She didn't flee India. Morarji Desai didn't have to flee India. That's the point I made. Nothing else, nothing more. I think more important thing is to know what is happening in Bangladesh rather than get into this India-Bangladesh thing. Because neither of us are spokespersons.
Brother, if you allow, we are not putting it as India Bangladesh. I think I'm talking now, taking an opportunity to talk about it. I think this is not something we should also something we fear. This is not about India and Bangladesh. We believe, at least I believe very strongly that India and Bangladesh are both very important to each other and have our mutual interest to live in prosperity and peace and friendship. I think that is what this is a case where immediately after resigning from power, this is also the very first time any Bangladesh leader has actually moved out of the country. That is also for the reference for the viewers of this show.
Okay, Mr. Faridi, please.
Yeah,
you are the guest.
I think you will get my perspective if you just allow me to finish what I want to say. If you just cut me through, then you will not get the idea what I'm going into. All right. So when you speak, I didn't cut you through. So please allow me to say what I want to say in full. Then you'll get the idea. The thing is that your audience is an Indian audience, your Indian channel. So there will be always some reference to India. That's very natural. So I really fail to understand why you are being so sensitive about when we are talking about India. Anyway, the thing is that, yes, when you said that Indian media is diverse, but when we talk about the mainstream media, there are the things which people watch around the world. There was a heavy bias towards showing that disproportionately showing that there have been attacks on minorities all around. But in truth is that many of these attacks were on the ruling party, which were in reign for 16 years. They did a lot of atrocities, and then people were just taking revenge. But I don't really endorse it. Taking revenge, taking law on their own hand is not correct. And another part was that the ruling party was trying to show that there is mayhem, there is law, absence of law, and minorities are in total insecure position. So that's why even the current regime, the past regime, thugs were actually attacked. But having said that, I'm not ruling out that communal hatred was not there. But what the point I'm making is that the lot of stories of minority being repressed, suppressed, and being attacked is not wholesale true. There are a lot of layers of things happening. So that we should be really take care of and look into those things.
Well, on this note, I would say, Mr. Faridi and Mr. Khan, the whole idea was not to quiz two individuals from civil society on matters of state, but the whole idea was to have a conversation, because Bangladesh and India are neighbors, and both of us are not going anywhere. We'll have to learn to live with each other, because it's a fruitful relationship, it's a shared relationship, it's a common relationship. There is a bonding of language, trade, and a long historical relationship. In fact, even of liberation and birth. So these are the latest visuals which are streaming in from Dhaka. There are protests which are taking place in various parts of the country. And we, the citizens of India, can hope that Bangladesh resumes itself in due course of time as a functioning democracy, a reformed one, as my panelists said, as they both of them critiqued the earlier 15 years of Sheikh Hasina.
This was the kind of terrain that mountaineers basically climb on. You're talking of peaks of 15